the 6th day of the internship. Today is 24th September. So we have seen what is an LTI system. Can someone tell me what is an LTI system? How you want to define an LTI system? Please unmute and speak. What is an LTI system? When do we say a system is LTI, or what do we mean by an LTI system? If you want to define it, how would you like to define? Any answers? Any answers? So if I have an input x of t and if I have an output y of t, if I give a times x of t minus t naught, what will be the output? At least tell this. Yes, the system which is linear and time invariant. Yes, Shashank, that is right. So now please tell me this answer. If a system is an LTI system, what it means is, suppose I have an input x of t and if it results in an output y of t, to the same system, if I give a times x of t minus t naught, what will be the output? Very good, very good. Radha, thank you. Output is going to be this one. So this is the definition of an LTI system. So what are the two conditions it satisfies? It satisfies two conditions. One is amplitude scaling. Amplitude scaling. What is amplitude scaling? My voice is very low. You put a loudspeaker to increase the volume. The volume control knob in our radios, in our music system, the volume control knob, increase or decreasing the amplitude is the amplitude scaling, and that is what we mean by this parameter A. And what is the second condition that it satisfies? Time invariance. Time invariant. That is, if I give an input to the system today, I'll get an output. To the same system, if I give the same input tomorrow, I'll get the same output. So output depends on the input and not on when the input is applied. You know that, this is the formal definition, and a simple test, how to test a physical system, whether the system is time invariant. Give a sign input, give a sign input, and output also should be signed. So this is what we mean by a linear system. So if I give a times cos omega naught t, my output is going to be, let us say this is say a1. This is going to be something else. Say a2 cos omega naught t, say minus theta. So there can be a change in the phase, there can be a change in the amplitude, there cannot be a change in, very good, no change in frequency. If there is a change in frequency, the system is non-linear. So I will give you an example of a system which is time. Can someone think of a practical example for non-linear? I mean, not non-linear, for time invariant. That is, the output depends on the time at which the input is applied, and it is not dependent on it's not constant with regard to time. Can you give some physical example of a time varying system, of a time varying system? Can someone think of some example of a time varying system where the output is not dependent on the input, but it's also dependent on the time at which the input is applied? Can someone think of an example? Not related to circuits, not related to anything, something practical or something physical. I mean, in real example, a real example. Any examples? Any example? I'll give an example. I'll give the example one of a time varying system. Say I stay in some location and I want to come to college. What is my system or whatever? the time I define it as time to reach college. Time to reach college. If I start in the morning at 7 a.m., I reach at 7:15 a.m. I reach at 7:15 a.m. If I start at 8 a.m., what time do you think I'm likely to reach college? And if I start at 10 a.m., if I start at 8 a.m., what time do you think I will reach college? I start at 8 a.m. What time do you think I will reach college? 8:15? Okay. Okay, I take it. If I start at 10 a.m., what time do you think I will reach college? If I start at 10 a.m., what time do you think I will reach college? Will I reach at 10:15? Yes. What time do you think I will reach college if I start at 10 a.m.? Just make a guess. It's not. Will I reach at 10:15? I will not reach at 10:15. Be practical. I mean, at least those who are in Bangalore will be able to tell based on other factors. I am likely to reach at 10:30 a.m. So what it is, although the distance from my home to the college is the same, the time taken to reach college is dependent on the time at which I start. It doesn't depend on the distance. So this is an example of a time varying system. An example of a time varying system. So the time to reach college, it depends on at what time I start at home. If I start at 7 a.m., okay, I may reach, but if I start at 10 a.m., the time taken is almost going to increases drastically because of other factors. You know that. I'll give you one more example. So this is an example of a time varying system. So it is the time taken to reach does not depend on the distance, but it also depends on other parameters. The time at which I'm going to start, and you can relate it to any other example, say the time to reach the airport or anything. So if I take one more example, and let us say this class, this analog signal processing using Python class. I teach in the morning at 10 a.m. I take the class at 10 a.m. So when I take the class at 10 a.m., how much is the student learning? If I define my task as a student learning. Can we say the student learning is very high or very good when we start the class at 10 a.m.? Now, suppose instead of taking the class at 10 a.m., I will take my class at 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. Or let us say I take at 4 p.m. Imagine not an online class. Online means there is lot of comfort at home. So you may be imagine you have come to the college in the morning at 9 o'clock, and then evening 4 o'clock and start teaching signals using Python. Is the student learning going to be the same at 10 a.m. and is it the same at 4 p.m. or is it different? The question is it same? Is the student learning same or is it different? And under different, under the assumption that I am not varying with time. Let us put the condition that the teacher doesn't change the time. So imagine I have the same enthusiasm, imagine I have the same interest and I have the same energy, and I am able to teach very similar at independent of the time. So even though my input is same, still the student learning is going to depend on when I take the class, when I take it. So this is another example of, so the student learning in the morning is different, and towards the end of the day is different, and so this is also an example of a time varying system. So the output or the system function does not depend on just the input, it also depends on when we apply the input. And I can give only these type of examples. I cannot give a similar example of a time varying system. I cannot give an example of in both other cases, both the above examples, it was, now suppose I put an RC circuit. If I put a resistor and capacitor, is this going to be time varying? It does not depend on any other external factor. It does not depend on the time. There is no human element involved, so it's going to perform identical. So is this time varying or time invariant? An RC circuit. How about the RC circuit? This is time invariant. Time invariant because output will depend on the input. It will not depend on whether I'm applying at 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 p.m. No, it does not depend. Whether I apply at 10 a.m., 10 a.m. or 4 p.m., today or tomorrow, 2 p.m., all I will get same output. Same output provided I would give the same input. So this is what is an example of a time invariant system, whereas in the other two cases, an example of a time varying system. So we'll not spend more time here. And we know how to we will see if time permits, we'll take up example of in multisim on how to see time varying and time invariant system. We have seen one example earlier. We will see either today or in tomorrow's class. So then how to represent an LTI system. So linear time invariant. How to represent an LTI system. Once again, we have input as x of t, and then I have a system, and then I have an output y of t, the LTI system. And we saw that one method of representing was using the impulse response h of t. The second method of representing, can you look into the notes and tell me what's the second method of representing the LTI system? We have seen it in the last class. Today we'll see all of them. We saw a few methods yesterday. I will see all the methods again today. One method of representing is the LTI system. What is another method of representing the LTI system? Yes, differential equation. Yes, differential equation. Yes. Any other method? Differential equation. Any other? Just look into your notes. We have written it. Yes, pole zero plot. Very good. The pole zero plot. Then the transfer function. Yes, the transfer function h of s. The transfer function h of s. Then the frequency response. H of omega. Very good. And then we have the block diagram. The block diagram or the hardware implementation. Block diagram, which is nothing but the hardware implementation. See now, all these are mathematical. That is impulse response, differential equation, pole zero plot, transfer function, frequency response. All these are mathematical methods of representation. And this is to help us understand how the system works, what will be the output, etc. But finally, what is practical, what is physical, what you can touch, what you can feel, and what really exists physically is only the block diagram representation or the hardware implementation. This is what is the real system, the real physical system, the real physical LTI system. And for a given real physical LTI system, I can have all these mathematical methods. I can have a differential equation. From the differential equation, I can get the transfer function. I can get the pole zero plot and all this. And why do I do all of them? From impulse response, from the physical, why do we have all this? What I have is a real system. And all others, methods 1 to 5 are all mathematical methods of representing. Now, why do we have these mathematical methods? Can someone tell me if I want to check if the system is stable? If I want to test the system for stability, from which method of representation can I test the system for stability? I can comment on the stability of the system from block diagram, from pole zero plot, from frequency response, from transfer function. From which method of representation can I comment that the system is stable or unstable? Yes, we can comment. Very good. We can comment from the impulse response. Any other method? One is the impulse response h of t. I can comment whether the system is stable or unstable from the impulse response h of t. And what is the condition? Area should be finite. Yes. From the impulse response, if the area is finite, then the system is stable. Yes. Any other method for commenting on the stability? Can I comment whether the system is stable or unstable from any other method? Look at the other methods. Can I comment about the system stability from the pole zero plot? Pole zero plot. Yes, very good. From pole zero plot, we can comment on the system stability. From the pole zero plot, I can comment on the system stability. Where should my poles be located for the system to be stable? Where should the poles be located? Right or left? Left. Yes, negative. Pole should be located on the left half of the S plane, left side of the S plane. If I have my poles, then the system is stable. So why do we have this stability? This is one method. Next, if I want to comment on whether the system is a low pass, high pass, band pass, if I want to comment on the type of the filter, type of the LTI system, that is whether it's a low pass filter, whether it's a high pass filter, if I want to comment on these parameters, then how can I, from which method can I tell whether it's a low pass or a high pass or a band pass? Can I tell from the block diagram? Can I tell from the impulse response? We can tell from impulse response, we can tell from, but for now we will not go into that complexity. We can also comment from the pole zero plot, but for now we will just restrict to this simple understanding. Yes. Yes, so we can get from the frequency response. From the frequency response, we can tell whether it's a low pass or a high pass filter. So if my frequency response omega is like this, then it's a low pass filter. On the other hand, if my frequency response is increases with frequency, then it's a high pass filter. So this is what we have. And differential equation, yes, it's very standard method of representing an equation, a system, and hence that becomes one method. And from the transfer function h of s, we can get h of omega. So this is what in general, and so we can comment. And there's one more. Okay, I'm not told about causality, so we will leave that. Yes. So this is what we have. So actual physical system is only one, and from the physical system we can comment on so many other observations. There's one more very nice thing that we can tell. We can predict. If I have a physical system, if I am given the differential equation, let us say from I want to predict. So I give you the system, I give the physical system, and then I tell this is my input. I'm giving an input x of t. I want you to predict the output, or I want you to compute the output y of t. Which model can help me get this? If I want to compute the output for a given input, you know that you can take the differential equation, you can solve the differential equation and get it. So, so one method is by we can predict the output. That is, I can predict by solving the differential equation. You must have done differential equation solutions in mathematics, how to solve a differential equation. You can also compute the output by using convolution, h of t, and the convolution operation. So using convolution also we can predict the output. We can also predict the output by going to the Laplace domain and doing the Laplace transform, and using h of s we can compute the output. We can also compute the output of the system by using the frequency response h of omega. So what is the advantage of having so many mathematical models is that I can, if I given your input, you can tell if I give this as my input, the output is going to be, what is the output y of t? You will be able to tell what is the output y of t. That you can compute, you can calculate and tell me what is the output by using h omega, by taking the differential equation and solving. by taking h of t and performing convolution, or taking the Laplace transform h of s and then doing the inverse Laplace transform. So all these methods you can predict, and after predicting, what you can do, you can verify once then let us say we have two friends A and B, and let us say A and B are two students and they are friends. A will let us say A tells no, this is the system given, I have the system, I'll give the input, I will go and look at the output. How does A do the experiment? The A does the experiment by literally conducting the experiment. He conducts the experiment. He takes a system, implements the system, and sees the output. What does B do? B is very good in all mathematical representation. B is good in Python. B is good in multisim line. So what does B do? B implements in a tool, or B writes a program. Writes a program in any of the language, or simply uses a pen and paper and then calculates the output. So we can get the output actually by implementing, or we can do it in a simulation environment, or we can do it by calculation. So all these mathematical methods are only to predict the output, to predict what will be the output of the system if I give the input. So that is why we need different models, and these models or these different methods are required so that we can understand the system. So today we will take up what is known as LTI system. Different representations we have seen. LTI system analysis. What we have been doing is this only, but we will formally put the title as LTI system analysis. So now let us take, let us say I have a differential equation. Let us say, does anyone know? Suppose x of t has a Laplace transform x of s. Can someone tell me what is the Laplace transform of d by dt of x of t? You can do a Google search if you want, look into the Laplace transform tables, and then tell me what is the Laplace transform. And if you don't know Laplace transform, some of you may not be knowing, those who are in the first year, don't worry, you will come to know of it later. So those who know, please give me the answer. Otherwise, just do a Google search or Laplace transform table, and you will get the table of Laplace transforms. And then please tell me what is the Laplace transform of d by dt of x of t, and similarly, what is the Laplace transform of d square by dt square of x of t? Please tell me. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Srijani. So s times x of s. So, and similarly, everyone can guess now. Suppose b by dt has a Laplace transform s times x of s. It is natural to extend the above relation. And what do you think will be the Laplace transform of the second derivative, d square by dt square x of t? D square by dt square x of t is going to have a Laplace transform of, yes, s square times x of s. And of course, here in this relation, I have ignored the initial conditions. So yes. So this is what we have. This is one property of Laplace transform. So differentiation in time domain is multiplication by j by s in the frequency domain. In the s domain, multiplication by s in the frequency domain. So now why did we are just recollecting this small property of Laplace transform, and then what we will do is, suppose I have a differential equation. Just give me some time. Yes, let us consider. Let us say we have a differential equation. Okay, we have a differential equation. Let's take one example. Let us say we have a differential equation given by d square by dt square y of t plus, say, 5 times d by dt of y of t plus 6 times y of t equal to say x of t. This is what is given. This is the differential equation of a system. What is the order of the system? Is this a first order system? Is this a second order system? What is the order of the system? What is the order of the system? Is this a first order system? Is this a second order system? Yes. This is a second order system. This is a second order system because we have the second derivative of d of y of t. If we had the first derivative of y of t, then it will be a first order system. Because I have d square y by dt square, this is a second order system. So now let us take the Laplace transform of the above. Let's take the Laplace transform of the above. Let us take the Laplace transform of above. What is the Laplace transform of d square by dt square of y of t? What is the Laplace transform of d square by dt square of y of t? Yes, very good. So this is going to be s square y of s plus, it's a linear, again Laplace transform is a linear operation. So when I have an addition, it remains as addition. Then what is the, then I have a constant 5, so I retain 5 as such. What is the Laplace transform of d by dt of y of t? Yes. So 5 s times y of s plus. What is the Laplace transform of 6 times y of t? 6 times y of s. What is the Laplace transform of x of t? X of s. So that is it. So now what we have is, I can now write this as s square plus 5s plus 6 into y of s equal to x of s. And why did I do that? I want to get the system transfer function h of s. What is system transfer function h of s? It is the ratio of y of s by x of s. Can you tell me what is the system transfer function now? What is the transfer function h of s? What is the transfer function h of s for this system? What is the transfer function h of s? Ys by xs. What is y of s by x of s in this case? Yes. 1 by s square plus 5s plus 6. Very good, very good. We are having students who are actively responding. We have 3 students who are actively responding. That is fine. That is fine. So now see, we had the differential equation. From the differential equation, we got the transfer function. So we got the second method of representation. We got the second method of representation. So this was method 1. If I call this as red is not a good color. So let us say this is one method. So this is say one method, and which is differential equation. The differential equation. From differential equation, by applying the Laplace transform, and now we got the second method of representation. And what is that? The transfer function. The transfer function, function h of s. So we got the transfer function h of s from the differential equation. So now we will continue, and so we got the second method. So now let us proceed further, and this is obtained by assuming 0 initial condition. So that for transfer function we don't need the initial condition, but those who are very particular about the mathematical concepts, please remember we have this is the result we got by assuming 0 initial conditions, and this is valid for transfer function. We don't consider the initial conditions. Yes. So next we will try to get the pole 0 plot. So let us try to get the pole 0 plot. So we'll continue with this representation, and so we have h of s. We have h of s. Can someone factorize, because I need to note the roots of the numerator and the denominator. Can someone help me in factorizing the denominator? S square plus 5s plus 6 can be actually written as some terms. Can someone factorize it? Please find the roots of, yes. We got one answer. I'll wait for some more time. Yes, yes. We got two answers. I'll wait for some more time. Some more time. Yes. Got 5 plus, no, the, you need to check the answer. 5 and 1 are not the roots. 2 and 3 are the roots. Yes. Yes. So we have some 3-4 people giving the answer. Very good. I got 6 6 of them responding. Very nice. Very nice. So now we will recognize that this is S plus 2 into S plus 3. And those who have are not aware of factorizing, at least multiply and see. When I multiply S plus 2 into S plus 3, what will I get? S square plus 5S plus 6. So I get the same. So the same denominator I have represented in a different manner as factors of first order terms. Why do I do this? Because I want to get the pole zero plot. I want to get the pole zero plot. So now I will go and try to get the pole zero plot. So how is where are my poles now? I have to go to the Z plane. I mean S plane. The S plane. This is my real axis. This is my imaginary axis. Where do I have my poles now? At S equal to, the denominator is S plus 2. So where is my pole? S equal to plus 2 or S equal to minus 3. If I equal the denominator to 0, yes, S equal to minus 2. I have one pole at S equal to minus 2. I have another pole at S equal to minus 3. So solve. So from the differential equation, we got the transfer function h of s. Then we factorize the denominator, and then now we got the pole zero plot. So we now have the third method of representing the system, and that is the pole zero plot. We got the pole zero plot. Now look at the pole zero plot and tell me we have two poles. It's a second order system because we have two poles, and the two poles are the left half of the S plane. Is the system stable or unstable? Is the system stable or unstable? What would you comment on the system? The system is stable. Very good. The system is stable because poles are on the left half. Someone said it is unstable, left half of the S plane. Why did you say it's unstable? You have a doubt? You have a doubt? So we got the third method of representation. So yes, it's on the left half of the S plane, on the negative side, and hence it is unstable. So anyway, let us confirm our answer, because some of them are telling it is unstable, some are telling it's stable. So let's verify by getting the impulse response and checking the area. So now this is what we have, -2 and -3. We have two poles at one at -2 and -3. So now we continue with our analysis. And now I want again someone who's good in mathematics to help me. So we continue. Now we want to get the impulse response of the system. So I have my h of s is given by 1 by s plus 3 into s plus 2. I have two poles in the denominator, one at 2 and one at 3. And then I want someone to tell me, this is say a by s plus 2 plus b by s plus 3. I need to represent it in terms of a partial fraction only because I know to do inverse Laplace transform only of s plus a. I don't want to do the inverse Laplace transform of s plus a into s plus b. So I have only little knowledge. So I will try to try to get the partial fraction representation, and then I'm going to do the inverse Laplace transform. I get it to a form for which I know the inverse Laplace transform. Then I can get this. Yes, I have already got an answer. Please tell me what is A and what is B. Everybody should be able to do this. All should be able to do. Please tell me what is A and what is B. So that I have the partial fraction representation of my given transfer function h of s. Yes. Yes, Shashank has given the answer. We'll wait for some more to give the answer. Otherwise, I will put the answer. A is 1 by s plus 2 and B is minus 1 by s plus 3. Those who have not computed, at least verify if this answer is right. Because Shashank has given the answer as 1 and minus 1. Is he right? I need someone to either get the answer or verify the answer. Either is okay. Either is okay. Either verify the answer or compute the values of A and B. Check if I multiply s plus 3 and yes. Yes. So that is that. B is minus 1. I have put it here. I put the yes, A is 1 and B is so we all agree that this is the right answer. So I have the transfer function. I am using the partial fraction method and I'm representing in this manner. In this manner, I'm solving for the constant A and B. I'm getting this. So now why did I do this? Because I know to get the inverse Laplace transform of s plus A. So now we know that if we know that e power minus at ut has a Laplace transform. Okay, I'll change the color because this is a deviation from what we are doing. So we recall that e power minus at ut has a Laplace transform 1 by s plus a. So this is something we know, and hence we will now try to get the this is h of s. So this is h of s. So how will I get h of t now? Let us compute the inverse Laplace transform of the expression. So what we get h of t? H of t is again linearity, addition is valid. What is the inverse Laplace transform of 1 by s plus 2? E to the power of minus 2t ut. What is the inverse Laplace transform of minus 1 by this? So minus will remain as a minus. 1 by s plus 3. What's the inverse Laplace transform? E power minus 3t ut. Is that fine? So I have e power minus 2t and minus e power minus 3t. So this is my impulse response having two terms, e power minus 2t and e power minus 3t. And how do we compute the value? How do we compute the value and how do we know how it looks like? So this is my, we saw how many methods of representation have we seen till now? The third method, Poisson plot we saw. And now this is my fourth method. This is my fourth method. And so this is my fourth method of representing. And what is the fourth method? The impulse response. And the impulse response of the system. So we got the fourth method of representing, but we don't know whether it's stable or unstable. E power minus 2t minus e power minus 3t. Of course, we will try plotting it in Python. This example only we will try to plot in the next next session in the lab session. So now for now, let us. How did minus come in h of s? Yes. Yes. How did minus come? The reason the minus came is, I hope you have followed this. H of s is this. I'll just deviate because there's a question. Someone is asking, how did you get the minus sign? See, I know to do Laplace. I know to do the inverse Laplace transform of 1 by s plus a. I do not know to do the inverse Laplace transform of 1 by s plus a into s plus 2. So I will bring it to the form of sum of terms. All first order terms, I will try to get it in that manner. So now suppose I will just write this as, yes. So now I will make it as 1 by s plus 2 minus 1 by s plus 3. Then what happens? I just cross multiply it. Just check it. S plus 3 minus s plus 2 divided by s plus 2 into s plus 3. And then what happens now? What happens now? S minus s gets cancelled. 3 minus 2 is a 1. 1 divided by s plus 2 into s plus 3. So how to get computed? There is a method known as the partial fraction representation. We can do it. Otherwise, we can verify the answer and get ourselves convinced. So we know that this term can either be represented in this manner, or we can represent. Both are same. Both are same. There's no approximation. There is no assumption. Nothing. Both are same. Different methods of representing the same transfer function. And why we do the second method? Because we want to do the inverse Laplace transform, and I know to do the inverse Laplace transform of 1 by s plus a. That's the reason. Does it answer the question? So now, yes. So now we got the impulse response of the system is given by this. Let us try to plot it. I'm not sure how it will look like. Where is the, yes, e power minus 2 minus 3 decays faster than e power minus 2. So it's a decay function, and this minus this. So what I guess, or let us try to plot this result. Let us try to plot it, and you will only help me in plotting, because you will take your calculator and compute it, and in the lab session we will plot it perfectly by using Python. So let us try to plot it. Yes, let's try to plot the impulse response. Let's plot the impulse response h of t. T equal to 0. T equal to 0. What's the value? E power minus t, this one, and e power this. So 1 minus 1 is a 0. T equal to 0. T equal to 1. T equal to 1. What's the value? E power minus 2 minus e power minus 3t. Minus 3. 0.084. How about t equal to half? Also tell me for t equal to half. Yes, I think t equal to half. Yes. So it is. So if I try to plot, I expect the curve to be. It starts from 0. It increases and decreases. Please tell me for t equal to 3, what's the value? T equal to 3. Yes, Yamuna, any doubt? Yamuna, any doubt? T equal to 3. Shashank has given the answer as 0.003. So where the peak occurs, I am not sure, but we agree that it starts from 0, it increases and decreases. The shape is not so good, but doesn't matter. We will have the exact plot when we draw in Python. Now, what do you think? This area under the impulse response, is it finite or infinite? What is the area under the impulse response? Is this area finite or infinite? Area is finite. Area is finite. So area is finite. And because area is finite, the system is stable. Because area is finite, the system is stable. So we finished we took one example, then we did the impulse response, and this is what we got. So, and we get the same, see, for the same system from the pole zero plot, we got the system is stable. See, look at the pole zero plot, the poles in the left half, so the system is stable. And in the impulse response, the area is finite, and hence the system is stable. So we will not get different answers for the same system. Whichever method you apply, you will get the same answer. So once again, we get the result as the system is stable because the area is finite. So we are done with 4 methods of representation. What's the 5th method remaining? The 5th method remaining is the frequency response. So now let us try to get the frequency response of the system. So what did we say? Frequency response h of omega. H of omega is nothing but you replace h of s, replace s by j omega, and you will get h of omega. So what is my h of s? H of s is I think we will retain the partial fraction method because that will help us in doing the Python code also. So 1 by s plus 2 minus 1 by s plus 3, and I have to replace s by j omega. I replace s by j omega, and then what will I get now? What is my h of omega? H of omega is 1 by 2 plus j omega minus 1 by 3 plus j omega. And I can or you want to retain the earlier method? Which method? Okay. And so if I look at okay, sorry, I will both methods will give the same answer, but let me go with the specific. Yeah. Okay. Or we will. Yes. Sorry. I will go by the by h of s. I am looking at making it simpler. So h of s is 1 by s square plus 5s plus 6. Both, I mean, both give the same answer. So don't worry about this is h of s. We will use this method. And then what is h of omega? Because my Python code will become simpler. Of course, I can generalize it. So replace s square plus 5s plus 6 and put s equal to j omega. Put s equal to j omega, I will get h of omega. And what is it now? Who can tell me what is s square? S square will become j omega whole square plus 5 j omega plus 6. Any confusion here? This is what I get. J omega whole square plus 5 times j omega plus 6. And what is it now? Yes. What is j omega square? J square. What is j square? Is minus. So what we have is 6 minus omega square as the real part plus 5 j omega as the imaginary part. Is that right? Yes. Omega j square is a minus 1. Any doubts here? This is 6 is a real part. So and j square omega square, I bring it here. So 6 minus omega square plus 5j omega. This is what we have. 1 by 6 minus omega square plus this. So this is my transfer function h of omega. And this I can always write it as magnitude. What is my magnitude now? 1 by square root of 6 minus omega square whole square plus 5 omega whole square. This is my magnitude. And what is my phase angle? Phase angle will be minus tan inverse of 5 omega divided by 6 minus omega square. 6 minus omega square. Is it right? Is it right? Are you convinced? Is it right? Is it right? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. Which sometimes I do make mistakes with sign, and then it leads to, yes, 5 omega by 6 minus omega square. So this is what I have, the magnitude and the phase. This is what I have, the magnitude and the phase. So now let us try to plot the magnitude. Let us try to plot the magnitude spectrum. So we got the frequency response of the system. So this is what we have, the frequency response as. The final result, h of omega, is given in this manner. So we have the fifth method of representing, and which is the frequency response of the system, the frequency response h omega. And the frequency response, if you see, is complex. It's actually complex, and because it is complex, we have two plots, the magnitude and the phase plot. This is also the frequency response, and this is the frequency response. So now let us try to plot. So because there are two quantities, I'm not sure whether I have not done the result earlier, so I will have to do it in the lab session. So now let us try to plot mod of h of omega. Plot mod of h of omega. Put omega equal to 0, what we get? Put omega equal to 0, what do we get? Put omega equal to 0, what we get? 1 by root 6. What do we get at how much? Put omega equal to 0 for the magnitude plot, and what we get? Yes, 1 by root 6. How much is that? We get some value. How much is it? Okay. Shashank says it is 0.4. Put omega equal to 2. Put omega equal to 2 and tell me what is the value. Put omega equal to 2 and tell me what's the value. 2 will be 5 2s are 10, 10 square is 100, and here it is 6 minus 2 is 4, 4 square is 25, 25 plus 100, 125, square root of 125, 10, 11, 11 point something, and 1 by 11, 1 by 11. So please tell me how much is it. Put omega equal to 2 and tell me what is the value of the magnitude. So put omega equal to 2. So 5 2s are 10, 10 square is 100. And here omega is 2, 2 square. Okay, we have 6 minus omega square, sorry. So 2 square is 4, 6 minus 4 is 2, 2 square is 4. So this was 104. Yes, so Shashank gives the value as 0.098. Is it right? Is it right? So now it is somewhat, it is less than the value at omega equal to 0, and further compute at omega equal to 3, and let us say this is what, I mean, we will know the exact plot when we plot in Python, and this is this. So now for looking at the frequency response, what do you want to conclude? Is it a low pass or a high pass filter? Is this a low pass or a high pass filter? From the frequency response, what will you tell? Is it low pass or high pass? From the frequency response, is it low pass or high pass? It's a low pass filter. So this is a low pass, it's a low pass system. Similarly, we can do the phase plot. I will not draw it because I will not be able to guess it correctly. Or you want to try omega versus h of omega. Angle of h of omega. What is angle of h of omega? Tan inverse minus tan inverse 5 omega by 6 minus omega square. So let's do that. Tan inverse. So this is minus tan inverse 5 omega by 6 minus omega square. Put omega equal to 0. What's the value you get? 0. Put omega equal to 2. Please tell me what is the phase angle at omega equal to 2. What is the value at omega equal to 2? Put omega equal to 2, you will get 5 2s are 10. 6 minus 2 square is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. 10 by 2 is 5. Tan inverse of 5. Tan inverse of 5. And then a negative. Okay, minus, and then if you do for minus 2, it is going to be an odd function. So exact value we don't know, but this is what we're going to get. So we can compute the exact value for different values of phase. So I'm not computing. We will have the exact plot in the lab session when we do now. So we get the magnitude and the phase plot. So for the same, from the differential equation, we got the frequency response. From frequency response, we're able to tell if it is a low pass or a high pass filter. So now, now we want to know the application of the block diagram implementation. We will not do it. The hardware implementation will postpone it for another session. So now let us take take for the same system. Now I have a question. Suppose I have a system for the above system only. My input say 5 cos 2t. Input is 5 cos 2t, and we want to compute what is the output. Okay, the question is very clear. The input is 5 cos 2t. What is the output? So how can I compute it? I know my h of omega. What should I compute? H of omega at omega equal to 2. I have to compute h of omega at omega equal to 2. And what do we get? H of omega at omega equal to 2, which is nothing but h of 2. What is the magnitude you said? Let us look at the magnitude plot. Magnitude you said was 0.098. 0.098. So you said the magnitude is 0.098. So when we computed it, we got this as 0.098, and the angle he said is minus 78 degrees. So please follow this very clearly. Finally, whatever mathematics we have done till now, it is being able to predict the output. So if I give my input as 5 cos 2t, what is my output going to be? 5 is going to get multiplied by 0.098, and my cost will get delayed by minus 0.78. So what will be my output y of t? Output is going to be 5. My input magnitude is 5. 5 gets multiplied by 0.098. And then what is my output now? Cos 2t minus 78 degrees. This is what I expect my output to be. So if I give any sinusoidal input, I can compute the output. Similarly, let us try. Have you followed this? What is the use of computing the frequency response? From the magnet, at 2, I am getting this value. I am getting the magnitude as 0.098. I am getting the phase as minus 78 degrees. So using these two values, I am able to now tell what is the output if I give my input as cos 2t. My output is how much is 2 into 0.98? Can someone tell how much is this multiplication? I mean 5 into 0.098. How much is 5 into 0.098? 0.49. So 9 5s are 40. 0.49 cos 2t minus 78 degrees. Yes, it's getting multiplied almost by 0.1. So that is what we have. This is what we expect the output to be. If I give this, now I want you to calculate and tell me. So I have my h of omega. If you want to look at a simpler, this is what we have my h of omega is 1 by square root of 6 minus omega square by so on. Okay, let me copy and paste it. Let me copy this and paste it. So this is what we have. The frequency response is given by this. And now my example is, let us take one more example. Let us say my input, suppose my input x of t is say 10 cos 0.5t. Please tell me, you have to compute h of omega, put omega equal to 0.5. Put omega equal to 0.5 and tell me what is h of omega at omega equal to 0.5. Why 0.5? Because my input signal is having omega as 0.5. Because my input is cos omega t and omega is 0.5. So please tell me how much is h of omega at 0.5. Please put omega equal to 0.5. It is just computation. And please tell me what is the value at omega equal to 0.5. You will get some magnitude and some phase. You will get some magnitude and some phase. Please tell me, put omega equal to 0.5. It will be very close to the value at omega equal to 0. What was the value we got at omega equal to 0? 1 plus square root of 0.6, that was 0.4. 0.4. So I expect this to be around 0.38. Please check it. Around 0.38 or 0.39. Please compute, put omega equal to 0.5 in this magnitude value and please compute and tell me what is the value. Put omega equal to 0.5, 0.5 square is 0.25. And 0.25 into 5. Please tell me what is the magnitude. What is the magnitude? What is the magnitude? Shashank, is it 0.28? It looks very low. Is it 0.28? Please confirm. Please confirm. Point. No, it looks even more lower. I was expecting an answer around 0.3. It may be right. Is Shashank right? Please verify. Shashank is giving the value as 0.28. And how about the angle? Minus 20, minus 30. Please give me the angle also. Anyway, we will do it in Python. The exact answer we will get. Someone, please give me the phase angle as well. Please give me the phase angle as well. Tan inverse of 5 omega by 6 minus omega square. What is the phase angle? Okay. Priyanka has given the phase as minus 23 and it looks reasonable because it has to be more than 0. It has to be less than minus 78. Somewhere there we are looking. So this is likely. So now what is the question now? Input is x of t. What will be my output now? Y of t. Output y of t will be, my input amplitude is 10 multiplied by 0.28. My magnitude is going to get multiplied by 0.28 because from the frequency response I got this value. Then cos 0.5t is going to have a delay of 23 degrees. So this is my answer. So see, I am able to predict finally, why did we do frequency response? One, from frequency response, we were able to tell it's a low pass or a high pass filter. Second, any input, any sinusoidal input I give, I can tell what is the output going to be. So 10 into 0.28 is going to be 2.8 cos 0.5 t minus 23 degrees. So we will plot the input and the output and then see the as a third example, you can probably take up suppose another example. If we want to take up, you can probably try for let us say x of t is equal to say 10 cos say 8t. So see what happens. Put omega equal to 8 and compute. First, you need to compute h of omega at omega equal to 8, and you're going to get something multiplied by some angle. Once you compute this, then you can immediately compute what is the output y of t. Output y of t will be a multiplied by that. I mean 10 multiplied, and you can write the output. So this is all. Finally, what is my result? See, I had something Fourier transform was complex, but final result, implementation, meaning is all real. All that was just mathematics to help us understand the system. And the biggest advantage is I can predict. I can predict without conducting the experiment, because the differential from different, we have seen so much. From differential equation, we went to transfer function, time, impulse response, the frequency response, and finally predict the output, the pole zero plot. All we have covered in one example from differential equation. So we'll take a break now. We'll meet after break and we'll try to repeat the same example in Python. And if time permits, we will try to also do one example in Multisim. Otherwise, we will restrict to Python today. After break, we'll do Python. Any questions? I'm not cancelling the quiz. I'm only extending the time. Please submit. If you had any doubt, you can always clarify. And please, I'm extending the time till tomorrow morning. Till tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, you can submit the quiz. Any questions? So what time we meet? Our time is 11:15. So shall we meet at 11:30 or 11:45? Yes, we'll meet at 11:45. We'll meet at 11:45 after the break. And we'll do the same example in Python. Okay. So thank you. So we'll meet at 11:45.